All right, good morning. How we doing today, Steelers Nation? Can I get some noise? All right, let's do that again, though, because it's Sunday. It's about to be a 1 o'clock kickoff, and we got to get the guys going, all right? So, if you're ready for the black and gold to take care of business today, let me hear you make some noise. That's what I like to hear. So for those that don't know, my name is Arthur Moats, retired linebacker of the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I will be your host for today's interview. And let me just say, I'm excited to talk to this guy right here because he came into the NFL in the 1971 NFL Draft when the Pittsburgh Steelers selected him in the 5th round with the 106th selection out of Kansas University.
Rock Chalk Jayhawk.
There it is. And after coming into the NFL, he enjoyed a 14-year career, all with the black and gold that just sits behind Ben Roethlisberger, Mike Webster, and Cam Hayward for longest tenured Pittsburgh Steeler. And during that time, he played in 167 games, starting in 121 of them. He was named to the Pro Bowl. He was also a 4-time Super Bowl champion as well. And last but certainly not least, in 2019, he was inducted into the Steelers Hall of Honor. So please give a warm Pittsburgh welcome to Steelers legend, tight end and right tackle, Larry Brown.
Good morning everybody, good morning. So what do you think? You have a good feeling for today?
That's what
Are you going to let them know when you go out there?
Let's go. Now, that's what I like to hear. Now, it's Sunday, 1 o'clock. We feel the energy. What's going through your mind when you come back to the stadium when it's Sunday, 1 o'clock in Pittsburgh?
Football. Victory. Looking for a very positive outcome today. You know, this is remarkable. You know, I don't know, looking around and trying to see who may have remembered Three River Stadium, but there we go. It was nothing like this in terms of the kind of turnout and so on and so on. So anyway, bring the energy today, man. The guy's gonna need it. I think you can push him over the edge, push him to a victory.
Let's go, let's go. Now, I want to start at the beginning with you. 1971 NFL Draft. Do you know the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to be calling you, or are you expecting it to be somebody else?
I really didn't know. I was happy to be drafted, obviously. And I got drafted by the Steelers. I recognized some of the players that were already on it, like John Henry Johnson, a few other guys. But I was happy to be here. When I came, also there were some guys who had come prior to my coming here, like Joe Green, Terry Bradshaw was here. So I was really pretty optimistic when I got here in 1971. Very optimistic about the outcome. Obviously, I couldn't have foreseen all of what happened in 4 Super Bowls, but very optimistic, very optimistic.
Well, you joining the team, it didn't take long for you guys to get to your first Super Bowl. When you're talking about 1974, right. Super Bowl IX versus the Minnesota Vikings, the Purple People Eaters. Talk about what was that experience like for you, that matchup for your first Super Bowl?
It was exciting, obviously exciting. When I got here, the year before I got here, the team had won 1 game, I think. My first year, I think we won 5 or 6 games. But my second year, we went to the playoffs for the first time in team history. Which happened to coincide with Franco's first year. And so, boy, that garnered the kind of excitement that just never dies. Just never died. That kind of excitement that was generated in 1972 at the first playoff game for the Steelers, just managed to just ride that on to where we are today. So that was remarkable.
No, without a doubt. And I mean, when we specifically talk about Super Bowl IX, You had a pretty memorable play in there as well, having a touchdown reception. Could you talk about what that was like for you as well?
It was very exciting, obviously. You know, we went to the first Super Bowl, and people expect Super Bowls now. You know, you get to the playoffs. You know, I hear a lot of disappointment, but only just getting there. You expect Super Bowls anymore, but at that time, that wasn't the mentality, and so our going to the Super Bowl for the first time. I mean, it was just a kind of a new revelation, and so every step was a new one, and so going to the Super Bowl. Actually, going against the Purple People Eaters, that's what you were talking about, and to come out there victorious the first time we went, man, I tell you what, that was just awesome. Very exciting, you know, and I think it just awakened, you know, an energy and an excitement in this city that just continues. The next one's close. The next Super Bowl is coming up.
Hey, look, we need that soon, hopefully this year, hopefully. But after dealing with Super Bowl IX, was it Carl Eller and company, now we get the Super Bowl X. The Dallas Cowboys and that doomsday defense. Talk a little bit about what that experience was like for you, getting a chance to go back-to-back to the Super Bowl.
Well, I tell you what, it's easy to get used to the habit of winning. And so after we had gone the first time, you know, you say, well, why not? Why not next time? So, you know, we went through the playoffs, and there we are there again. And so when you go, you don't want to just go, you want to win. And so the Cowboys were a very good team, and it was a very good game, and a lot of competition, obviously, a very competitive game. But we won that game, too. And so that was pretty exciting. And about that time, by the time you win your second one, you're thinking, well, I think we can do this again, you know? And so I tell you what, there was always an expectation from the very beginning, from the first Super Bowl, that's when we went to training camp, that's what we went there for. That's what we went there for. And we were very fortunate, obviously, to have a collection of guys at that time who were brought together under the kind of tutelage and coaching and teaching, you know, with Coach Knoll and that staff. So I feel very fortunate to have come along when I did come along.
Now, during that time, you were viewed as one of those versatile guys because these first two Super Bowls, you're playing tight end. But
Yes.
now it's 1977, and it's time for you to make a switch from tight end to right tackle. Talk about what went through that and that decision, and did you have any pushback against it?
That was the first two Super Bowls. Obviously, I was a tight end, and at the following year, from the second year, I was injured going into the next year, and so I wasn't able to go to training camp there and able to play. Right now, I think you maybe call it unable to perform, injury, whatever. I don't know what the acronym is for it.
One of those PUP type lists.
Yes, and so Coach Knoll called me in his office, and he was saying, this was during the summer prior to going to camp, realizing that I was not going to be able to take on the rigors of running tight end and so on and so on. So he said, going to training camp, he would just like for me to, since I wasn't able to run the routes at tight end, to go with the offensive line and just kind of learn their plays and so on and so on. And then in the training camp, at some point when I was able physically to come back and play tight end, then I would come back up. But in the course of that time, during that training camp, and training camps at that time was more than 2 weeks they have now. So we were out there about 7 weeks, and somewhere during the course of that time, the starting tackle was traded away to the New York Giants. And so I look around, and I guess I was kind of the heir apparent. And so I kind of got drafted over into playing offensive tackle. So it was one of those learn as you go kind of things. But anyway, it was fortunate for me that it worked out because I played 14 years and another 2 Super Bowls at tight end. And so I can't complain about that. Thank you.
Let's go. And now on top of that, not only do you make the switch, but within a season, you're back in the Super Bowl. Time for Super Bowl 13. Once again, the Dallas Cowboys, the doomsday defense again. But now you're starting at right tackle. What was that like for you this time?
Football is football. And blocking is blocking, and so on and so on. And the Dallas Cowboys are still the Dallas Cowboys. Anyway, I think we had failed to make the Super Bowl. We'd made the playoffs a couple years after, but failed to make the Super Bowl. And so that particular year, we were back in it. And so you kind of build a kind of an attitude and an approach to things. And so went into that one, obviously with a very formidable opponent, the Dallas Cowboys that we had played a couple of years before, and with the expectation of winning, obviously. And so fortunate for us, we came out victorious. Thank you.
Absolutely. And then you decide to go back-to-back and go right back for Super Bowl 14 versus the LA Rams, Jack Youngblood and company. Talk about what that was like for you for your 4th Super Bowl appearance.
Well, it seems like it was supposed to be. We had won 2 before, we won 1, and there we are in it again. And so, really, it's kind of hard to describe, but once you start doing something and being successful at it, you just think, well, that's what you're going to do. And so I remember Joe Green famously or infamously said after winning that one, well, now you will do one for the thumb. Easier said than done. Easier said than done. Because that would have meant a three-peat. And you saw what happened to Kansas City last year when they thought, hey, gee whiz, we won 2, boy, let's just, we just won 3 in a row. Nobody's done it. No, it's a very, very difficult thing to do. And so, but anyway, that's kind of the way it went.
Well, after you get done going back-to-back Super Bowl championships, 1982, you're named to your first Pro Bowl at right tackle. What did that mean to you? And also, what was the game like as well?
It meant a lot, I played a long time, played against a lot of very outstanding players, played with a lot of outstanding players. And you don't necessarily play for the accolades or whatever else. I mean, it's your job. You play for the team and you play to win. And so, and you should know, and if you play football, what you're playing for really is the respect of your teammates, your coaches, the team, and so on and so on. And so I was very fortunate to have some teammates that were very supportive and very encouraging and so on and so on. And so even prior to my going to that Pro Bowl, I'd have my teammates, the guys that I, respected, looked up to, and were just awesome players, saying, oh, gee whiz, man, you should have gone, or whatever. So anyway, when I finally, did go, boy, it was kind of elation I got from the guys that were around me and so on and so on. So it was one of those things that kind of pays off eventually if you keep doing it and trying to do it hard and well.
Absolutely, and that was a well-deserved nomination and accolation as well. But more importantly, 2019, that's a nice jacket you got on right there. You get inducted into the Steelers Hall of Honor. What did that mean for you? Take us through that experience as well, please.
It means a lot, actually. It means a lot. I spent 14 years playing here, and as I was saying just a little bit ago, you play a lot and you encounter a lot of teammates, coaches, and so on that you have a lot of respect for. But you also have an inside view on things. You know who the players are. You know who the contributors are. And the respect that is in a locker room isn't necessarily one is from reading pages in a sports report or whatever else. The respect comes from, the interaction, the work you put in, the way you play, the whole thing. And so I had that same experience. So when I got in, I thought, well, that's really good. But I also know that there are other guys, who I know who were contributors who didn't necessarily get the kind of attention and so on, but were very deserving. And so I remember having that conversation with Mr. Rooney, and he would say, you know what, we're way ahead of you. I know that. That's the way I feel about it. We have guys who are deserving to be in, and they will be getting in. And so I look forward every year to the next guy who comes in, Thank you.
Love that right there. Now, I have one final question. Then after that, we'll open it up to the crowd for a question or two for Super Bowl champ Larry Brown. But what I want to know is this. We always talk about that moment where we realize we're not in college anymore. This is the big leagues, the pros. And we usually have that moment where we realize these guys are a lot bigger, stronger, and faster. And we call it our welcome to the NFL moment. If you could, just talk about your welcome to the NFL moment.
Oh, wow. Welcome to the welcome to the NFL moment. I don't know, probably my first training camp. Because when you come, I played 1 year in high school, so, I had somewhat of an experience there, and I played, my 4 years in college. And you play with your peers, more or less, guys just saying, just like you. But when you come to the pros, there are grown men in there. Absolute grown men in there. And so the locker room, the people in there, the practices, everything is just so different. I mean, you understand that, you're in the big leagues now. You're in the big leagues now. And so that was that's my moment, I guess, just the realization of that, I'm in a different world now than
like you said, these are grown men, big difference. No, I love that right there. So we do have some time, man, for a question for Larry. All right.
Thank you, Arthur. Larry, and maybe Arthur too, how important is the noise of the Steelers fans and that 12th man, the Steeler Nation? How does that play a role in the defense and the offense's game?
Oh, it's vitally important. That's why I asked this morning, like, what is your vibe? What are your feelings? And so on and so on. The game, the guys get paid a lot of money, but it's a hard game. It's a risky game. It is a dangerous game. And it is a very competitive game. And sometimes the difference is just minute. Sometimes it's about who has more energy at that time to be able to, because when you look at how close plays are and so on, man, it's minute, it's so different. And so when you have somebody rooting for you and you got the crowd that's excited and, you got somebody coming on, that little revving, that little extra energy, man, sometimes makes the difference in whether a play works or not, or whether you get the fumble recovery or that interception or that is that close. And so the kind of impetus that you get from the crowd and the excitement and so on, man, it makes a difference. Believe me, I know, I played, I've experienced it and benefited from it.
I'm biased. We play defense, we get renegade. You know I love it, man, absolutely.
Thanks, Arthur. Larry, what's the biggest difference between your Super Bowl teams and the team we have this year?
Put you on a hot seat.
The biggest difference, there's a lot of differences. I won't go into like the monetary differences and all that kind of stuff. But I don't know that there is. I don't know the difference. I guess that's my question. So as an observer from the outside looking in, you probably have a better sense of that than I do. It's probably more competitive now in a sense that parity around the league. It's really. I know if you guys listen to a lot of sports shows, they're prognosticators. They're predicting who's going to do this and that and so forth, who's going to win, and it's almost never. They're never 100% in terms of what that is. you just don't know, and so I think, and it was a good thing too because that keeps the whole nation, that keeps the whole fan base in the whole country interested and engaged in it, and so I think that's really a nice thing that even though you have a team like Kansas City, but they're not markedly better than everybody else. They got good coaching, they got good players, but I think a lot of teams got a chance to go and win. A lot of teams got a chance to go and win. I know when we were during our course of time, we just had a outstanding scouting team that would just go into areas where nobody else looked and found gems like Greenwood and White and Mike Wagner and a lot of other players that other teams just weren't scouting. But right now, I mean, gosh, you could probably pick up a publication and be able to evaluate just about across the board who's who and so on and so on. And so I think the difference now is that there are just more parity. More parity.
All right, got time for one final question? Oh, all right. You got the Troy Polamalu jersey on. Come on, baby. Hold on, I got you. Come on up here, man.
How are you, sir?
You got the jacket on and everything, looking good.
We came here from St. Louis to this place that I've been dreaming about since I was 11 years old. And my one question for Mr. Brown is, what was it like playing it with the steel curtain? And my favorite player of all time,
Who's that?
Mr. Green.
Joe Green. He's one of my favorite too.
What was it like playing with him?
Joe was the man. You're the alpha dog in the whoever the alpha is in whatever organization or whatever else. Joe set the tone. He absolutely set the tone, and it's just one of those things. A lot of guys just felt like if you didn't put the effort in, still got to deal with Joe. And so he was just a remarkable leader. But I can understand why that would be one of your favorite players, if not your favorite player. Thank you very much.
Awesome right there. Awesome to hear. Well, that will conclude today's interview, so please give another round of applause for four-time Steelers Super Bowl champion, Larry Brown.